It includes hardware for all three styles of table saw, so you will have some leftover hardware, and comes with a full Allen wrench and a open end wrench that you need for assembly. Here, I'm just checking that everything is flat and straight. That's a freshly jointed board. I read a couple reviews where people said that their stuff wasn't flat. Mine was really nice and flat. Here, just install the leg. And I'm going to get the sliding carton in place here so that it'll support the weight, because the thing's pretty heavy. And you'll notice that it's not in the right orientation. So I flip it around. Love this, this hydraulic cart. It is just like having a full-time assistant in the shop. All right, installing the bolts here is just a matter of using an Allen wrench and a ratchet, or the wrench that's included. I use my own tools because a ratchet works a little better. Get the table nice and flush. And obviously did the bolt on the other side too. Here, just assemble, there's some square headed bolts with some nuts here. Slide it into the T-track in the end and tighten it up with wrenches. Done with that. Just adjusting that end to be nice and flush again. This thing slides so smooth, it's beautiful. Attaching the miter gauge is a matter of sliding it into the slot. Now here I thought I could mount it in the closest slot to the blade, because I left the extension wing in place, which pushes it 12 inches further to the left than if you remove it and cut the rails and all that stuff. And these are left-hand thread to lock that in place. Here, I'm just loosening up these Allen heads so that I can slide the fence over towards the blade. You know, it's got to be relatively close. You want your workpiece supported when it's close to the blade. Tighten this back up, and then when I go to install this beautiful large lock knob, I find out that the slot in the fence won't allow it to be, it just won't work there. So have to bring it off, take it off, and put it where the manual actually said to put it. The manual was correct in this case. I thought I got outsmarted, but I couldn't. So that's the slot it goes in. Swing the miter gauge over to somewhere between the 45 and the 60. I don't know the exact one, but I just fiddled with it for a few seconds here until I got it to slide into the slot. Love this great big lock knob. Easier on arthritic hands. So I really thought I was going to be happy with this installation, which is the flush mount installation with the extension wing, left extension wing still installed. I wanted to keep this so that I had as much, you know, surface area for large work pieces, and I'm really not crazy about cutting the rails. I will if I absolutely have to, but I'm not crazy about it, and I want to keep the ability to move the rip fence to the left side of the blade, because I've done that several times throughout woodworking. The big problem is that in this configuration, you really can't miter. So I'm gonna change the mounting location and move it back to a standard. That should give more, quite a bit, like probably be able to miter something 12, 14 inches, I think. We'll see when we get there, but I'm gonna remount this. So let's do it. All right, first thing to do, find a 5mm Allen wrench. And I'm going to remove this, but you got to remember that I'm going to remove the miter gauge. So you got to remember that instead of righty-tighty, it's righty-loosey. There we go. Yep, reverse threads. Other way. I said reverse threads, and then I didn't follow my own directions. Oh, I think the power went out. It's been a lot of ice. There's an ice storm, so we've had little power outages, but I'm just gonna, the lights just came back on, so I'm going to continue. And then I gotta get this out of here, and the whole thing will slide right on out of here. I'm gonna lock the carriage here. Boom, just like that. And with that set aside, unlock the carriage, exposing this bolt right here. And I'm not taking the nut, the final place off, the final off, because I don't want the table to fall. And I'm going to go over here and remove this one. I'm going to get this cart under here that cooperates. There we go. Then I'm going to completely remove this bolt. Try not to drop hardware on the floor. Okay, why is this not sliding? Ah, because of the legs, that's why. No. Okay, so that was, to say the least, very scary, but I don't see any damage on here, so back on it goes. I guess I only had it under the edge and not clear up underneath. Won't make that mistake again. Let's get this moved at least closely to where it goes. Okay. Come. Get in your home. It's your home. Just go home. 5mm. Lefty tighty. We are. Unlock. No more clickety clack. When that moves across, that's good. All right, so I've got the fence swung back to 45 degrees like we did before. It's drawn all the way back. Got a piece of cardboard to represent here. And you can see that it would easily do that. And this piece is, whoa, at 11 3/8, and if we go this way a little bit, looks like about 13. So 12 to 13 inches instead of 5 or 6. With this in a new position, this should nicely cross-cut 50 inches. And since the installation is finalized where I want it, there's 2 more bolts towards the center here that I went ahead and installed off camera. There's a total of 4 bolts that mount the crosscut table to the table saw. And now what we need to do is actually calibrate and square this fence up to the blade. And the quickest way that I figured out to do it is to simply mill a piece to where it goes in here, nice and snug with no play. I actually lucked out. This board you've been seeing me here just fit right in here like I made it that way. But if you got a planer or whatever, make this fit nice and snug. You could probably just use 2 two pieces instead of a one long piece as well. But what I did is loosen the two Allen heads back here for adjustment and loosened up the lock knob, put this nice and snug up against here, tightened up those Allen heads again, tightened this up, and made a test cut on here. And with a Japanese square, it is so much more square than it was out of the box. It's not even ridiculous, but I have yet even better, more accurate way to test whether this thing is really truly square and fine-tune it even more should it need it, because when you're cross-cutting cabinet sides or whatever large things, you really need to be very, very, very accurate in order to get the results that you want. So I'm going to cross-cut a piece of plywood. I'll just show you. All right, so now you can see how very much not perfectly square this is. So with these fresh edges up against the fence and cutting them in the one way, flipping it over, it doubles any error, and you can see this fence not good enough. This much error would induce way too much problems in a project, just way too much. I countersunk and drove screws into both ends of the fence that you saw me using to align the fence. This way I can make very, very small adjustments and just adjust the fence a little bit each time until I get perfectly square cut. With the edges up tight against the fence and then the pieces pressed together, you can see this is basically a glue seam. All right, so that process took me about 4 or 5 cuts, adjusting the screws just a little bit each time. And I actually had to install a screw under this end because I originally was adjusting the right side when I actually needed to adjust the left. So had I made the right observation of what I needed to do the first time, I would have made 1 or 2 less cuts. But it is now as perfect as I can get it doing this method. What I want to know now is when I remove the miter gauge for doing other things and I put it back on, does it return to dead accurate? Because there seemed to be some debate or differing opinion, should I say, in the reviews and stuff like that. So I want to know for me, if I take this off, put it back on, does it return to dead accurate, or do I have to actually keep some sort of a jig like that so that I can quickly return it to accurate? So let's get this off here, back on here, and make one more cut. Take it out, sit it somewhere, do my other operation, bring it back. Dust collection on. Saw on. Okay. I'm going to call that a return to dead accuracy, and that is good news. There's something in these things that must auto-align it in the T-track. Awesome. So if you read reviews that say it doesn't return to dead accurate, that's not my experience. My experience is taking the miter gauge off and back on does return it to dead accurate, provided it was dead accurate in the first place. So I want to really thank you for watching this video. Your likes and subscribes mean a lot, and I will see you in the next video.